Good morning and welcome to West Coast Grandma. I decided today that I needed to do another garden tour because it's been pretty well a month since my last one. And of course, in May, everything has just taken off and everything is growing like crazy. That's one reason. The other reason is I totally wanted to catch the sun coming into the yard. So as you can see, I'm looking a little tired because it is only 7 in the morning. So this is a great time to catch all those shadows with the sun coming up. And I just thought I'd do a little walk around at the same time and just show you the garden. Okay, we're gonna head on up to the garden. Look at the sunshine. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? This has got to be my favorite time of the day. My husband and I love to come out and have coffee in the morning. Sit out in the fire pit or sit up by the garden, which, well, actually we move around and just so we can sit in the sun. So it's just a beautiful time of day. But I am going to just take you up and just show you just how everything is just coming along like crazy. On our way up, I just wanted to stop. This is a little brand new cherry tree that we just put in last year, and look at the cherries on it. I hope the birds don't get it before we get a chance to try one, but I just thought that was pretty neat. Alrighty, we're gonna head up here. Look out, Riker. Gonna trick me. The dog follows me everywhere. Okay, we're just gonna head up to the garden. It's so bright, I pretty well need to have sunglasses on, but it's just so gorgeous. Alrighty, let me get into the gate here without letting the dog in. Alrighty, here we are in the garden, and I've just come in the gate, and right down here I wanted to show you these. These are called Litchi Tomatoes. And the reason I've got them right in this sort of spot closed in is because they're prickly. But apparently they're not part of the lychee family. They are something totally different. They are part of the tomato family. But I heard that they have beautiful flowers. And I'm gonna come around here so that I can get a shot of this flower. See if I can bring it up. Look at that. So lychee tomatoes. Apparently they taste like a cross between a tomato and a watermelon, if you can imagine that. So I'm kind of looking forward to that because I love watermelon. Anyway, there's my chamomile. I have that everywhere, and I use that for tea. So that's another thing we're going to do one day is we are going to do a video on all the herbs that I'm going to use for my winter teas. So anyway, there's my huge lettuces. We've been trying to use those up. Yeah, they're everywhere. I just stuck little plants in everywhere. All right, let's go down here. That's lemongrass, and I do use that, and I use it for cooking, and I use it for drying. That's kind of one of those sort of rarish things to have in your garden, but it grows well here. It doesn't overwinter, but it does grow into a big, huge, grassy looking plant for the summer. So there's my tomatoes. Those are the ones we put out a couple of weeks ago. So this next week I'm going to do some maintenance on the tomatoes, and we'll definitely do a video on that because I'm going to trim them all and attach them to the wire fence. Also, I need to do a bit of maintenance on my onions. So we're also going to deal with that this next week, and I'll tell you how I look after my onions and what I do to make onion tops that I use for the whole winter. So we're gonna move right along here. All right, there's my, look at those. Those are my strawberries. We had the first strawberry off there yesterday. I cut it in half and we shared it. It was delicious. Okay, so this goes all the way down. Of course, like I said, it's about 80 feet. All my tomatoes. I'm so happy with the tomatoes. There's a couple of sunflowers I put in. And here we have ground cherries. Now there's also a couple of tomato plants coming up there, but a lot of these little plants that are coming are just reseeded, and they're all ground cherries. That's those little orangish looking berries that are covered with that little they got the skin that goes around them like a little sack, and then you just peel it off. You see them actually on a lot of dinner plates. They use them to decorate plates, and they're just delicious. Anyway, there we have Iranian squash there, which I just used the last one that I stored from last year, and I just actually chopped it all up and froze it. And then in the background, climbing up that fence, is a zucchini rampicante. So you will love to see what that fruit looks like when it gets started. All right, so I'm gonna go over to here now. We have some peas coming up. These ones are snap peas, so that we can have something, so the grandkids can have something to eat. And then we have a couple of different varieties of cucumbers. And I see they are starting to flower. Look at that, looks so healthy. The one here is the Armenian long. And that one, I've had a really hard time growing it, but I really want those. Excuse me, the early morning here. A few more onions, and then this is spaghetti. Oh, these are butternut squash. That's right, butternut squash. And there's my rhubarb. I just made the best rhubarb squares yesterday. My husband said, you need to make a video on this. They're a 10 out of 10, so I just might do that. All right. Those are all more blueberry. Here's some potatoes. And there's my little herb garden that I took my cilantro out of, and my oregano that I just posted a video on, preserving. And there's my sage. And you can see the bees on there. They love the purple flowers. And yeah, there's bees everywhere on here. So I let it go to flower. The sage is fine. There's so much. I'll pick some later. In there we just have some basil. I stuck it in there because I didn't really know where else to put it. But basil, and down at the end there's spaghetti squash. I tried to keep all my squash separate because they do cross-pollinate, so I try to put the different varieties in different areas of the garden in hopes that they don't cross-pollinate. This little patch here that I've stuck onions all around, this is my black currant bush. And I'm not kidding, I have so many black currants in my freezer. And what I did is, it used to be over against the fence over here and behind. And it got so huge that I have so many berries in the freezer, I decided to cut it right back and move it into its own little bed. So I can get all the way around it. So if I don't get any berries this year, I'm okay with that, but it looks like it's established perfectly. So probably next year I'll get an abundance of black currants. Yeah, there it is in behind me now. I just thought we could do a little walk. It's hard with the sun. It's just coming up and it's so bright. It's kind of in my face, but anyway, it's so beautiful. Like I say, I just wanted you to see how everything looks with the sun coming up. There's my garlic. I'm expecting to see garlic scapes any day. We love those too and use them all the time in our cooking. I have made the garlic scape salt, which was just a variety of those homemade salts that I made, which was pretty good. Wasn't my favorite, but it was still pretty good. Alrighty. Here we have some different varieties of greens. And I know kind of a weird name, so I'm gonna have to look that one up. I'll look it up and I'll have to put it up in the on the screen here when I figure out what it is, because there's a few different ones. This is also some seeds right here that a friend gave me. They were from Poland, and it's a kind of broccoli. So I'm kind of anxious to see how that turns out. In the far side, there, right over here, that's all celery and one lone garlic that came up. But yeah, I haven't had a real luck with celery. It just seems to go to seed, but I thought I'd give it a try again. Alrighty, here, that's my patch of carrots, as you can see by my little metal carrots that are in there. Yeah, I kind of like those. I've had them for a long, long time. All right, here you can see, this is my arch trellis. I'm gonna come back a bit here. There. And all my beans are coming up at the bottom. I've got Blue Lake pole beans. I have, these are red noodle beans, and they are gonna grow right up over this trellis, and they hang down. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Yep, there's more noodle beans coming up there. And like I said, the other trellis there, both sides are Blue Lake pole beans, because those are our favorite. They stay tender. Even when they start to get big and a little bit older, they're still delicious. Yeah. Behind me on my old compost is my pumpkins. Every year, you can see here I have two compost piles. The one that is going to be my compost for next year is this one, and that's the one that I plant my pumpkins in, because they're really heavy feeders. And if you're just really careful to get them really watered in, because there's a lot of air in this compost pile, but if you get them good and watered in, the roots don't take long to get down, and they will do well. As you can see by, look at the leaves, they're just beautiful. Yeah, this was a little volunteer. I might take that out because they again cross-pollinate, but they're just looking pretty beautiful. I think I've got the Cinderella French pumpkins in here, and I do have another variety. Oh, I have the white gray ghost pumpkins. Yes, I love those. I put them all on my front step for Halloween, and I love those. Alrighty, let's head over this way. This is all my beets. Like, look at those. I should be picking some beet tops. And a few parsnips. We don't need a lot of parsnips, but we do really like them. And then I've stuck a few lettuce plants in between, because I had started quite a few. There's our favorite peppers. They're Sugar Rush Red and Sugar Rush Peach. So I put those together. I had so many plants, I was just looking for spots to put them in. This is Chinese cabbage. Unfortunately, it started to bolt. I think it's because we had that hot weather in May. So I'm not even sure if we're gonna end out with any Chinese cabbages in the end, but there's a few that seem to be forming heads before they bolt, so we'll see. Alrighty, over there is my last bed again with more, our last bed of onions all the way along, and in the back it's all different varieties of cucumbers. And that, at the moment, I cannot forget which herb that is, but I will put the name on there. And they come up, they just volunteer around the yard, purple flowers, and again, the bees love them. So I always let the odd plant go here and there. Okay, this is my little greenhouse, where it's just full of all my peppers. So as you can see, they're doing great. All different varieties. Look at them. They look as healthy as can be. I just gave them some fertilizer, and it was kelp, like kelp juice. It's already diluted, so it was a little bit expensive. I actually thought it was a concentrate, but it was diluted. So you just put a sort of a squirt on each one. They seem to be happy. And then at the end here, we have the last bed, and this has broccoli, cauliflower, as you can see. And in the back there is my row of all the different cherry tomatoes, which are getting kind of buried in there. I'll just get in a close-up. But look at those. Like I say, see there's flowers coming on those. I really need to get busy and get these things trimmed. But I will do a video on that coming up probably this week. This is a Kajari melon. I'm pretty excited about this. I started it early. It's my 3rd year trying it. I keep trying the odd really different thing. One year I did okra, It took me 3 years to finally get an okra plant, and we didn't like it at all. So now I was happy to give up on okra. But I wanted to see what okra was like, and I did the whole breaded southern recipe, and it was okay, but totally tasteless. So that's the end of okra for me. Just over there is peas growing up that fence. Those are shelling peas on both sides. So I love to have shelling peas in the freezer for the winter. And here's Riker waiting for me outside the gate. So there's my garden. Pretty beautiful. I'm just excited. I know it's a lot of work. I'm starting to see the work already, but that's why we do it. Oh, I missed way on the far side is my raspberry patch with a few more onions in it. Like I say, we will be dealing with onions here coming up, and I will do a video on that too. So we'll just go down and check the greenhouse, and then we'll head back to the house. And here we are. Just a couple of things coming up. A couple of volunteer tomatoes, and some more basil, which we use tons of, and me, who couldn't throw out all the extra onions, I just stick them in everywhere. And here is where I just planted my Brussels sprouts, a few more onions, which I'm still going to find a spot for, and then my lettuce. That was just a little volunteer that came up. I love those things. Again, at the moment, I can't remember the name. It's early in the morning. I will post it up on the screen here. And a couple of containers where I've planted some more lettuce for some starts. And my basil, which again, this is the lettuce leaf basil. We love that. Look at the size of those leaves. I actually make little roll-ups instead of kind of like a salad roll, and I use the big leaves, and they're really, really delicious, and everybody is always amazed that they're basil leaves. Yeah. And then my loofahs. Look at that. They're doing awesome. They're starting to climb up. So I don't know, maybe we'll get some loofahs this year. We got 2 last year, which I did process and cut up with strings on them, and we're still using them in our showers, so it's great. So there we are out of the greenhouse. That's just another patch of potatoes there. And there's actually a little squash plant at the end, again, because I want to keep it away from all the other ones. So we're going to head on back to the house. I hope you've enjoyed my garden tour today, seeing how everything is growing and coming along, and imagining all that preservation that's going to be coming up. It's going to be a big job, but it's always worth it. And yesterday I spent about an hour down in my pantry, down in our crawl space, sorting out what I have and what I don't have, and what I need to do this year. I still have quite a few tomatoes, tomato sauce and things like that, but I'll always be busy with tomatoes because, of course, I love tomatoes. Look at that garden. It's just so beautiful. So I hope you consider subscribing to my channel, and we're going to be all excited about all the upcoming things, and hopefully you'll watch out next week for me doing my video on maintaining my tomatoes, because that is a big job and it's super important. Also my onions. And before I exit this video, I just want to show you, look at these candy lilies. Aren't those the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? Look at that. They are a kind of a biannual sort of plant. They get green. Like last year they were green. I think I only got 1 flower. This year they're so beautiful. Again, there we are with the sun shining on them. Look at that. And in the background there's the stream. Trying to keep the herons away. Let's just have one little hello to my, just give a little bang on the wall. There he is. Where's that big guy. These things are huge. Well, so long for now. We'll catch you again soon. West Coast Grandma is signing out.